I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, I'm delighted to introduce you to a remarkable author. Her name is Diane V. She has written a great book. It is called Telleo, Perfect One. This philosophical fantasy invites readers to leave behind the world of deadlines and digital distractions and journey to a newly imagined planet with two distinct civilizations. The author's narrative explores themes of purity and simplicity, challenging us to rethink our lives and our priorities. Through her story, the author promises to shock, inspire, and offer fresh perspective on what truly matters, encouraging readers to confront the enemy that often lies closer than expected. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her wonderful book. The links are below this interview. Diane, thanks so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and it's wonderful to talk to you. Tell us, what was the inspiration for creating Telleo Perfect One?
Well, the very first part of the inspiration was I was very bored in a classroom when I was in middle school, and I was staring out the window, and I saw it was winter, and I don't, as you know, I don't like winter. So I saw these birds up in the trees, and they were playing, and they were floating down, and my mind was off thinking about the birds, and I started making up this story about them, and then of course I had to go on to my next class. But when I got home, I started writing a little story about the birds, and one of the things they could do was they could become people. Basically, there were people that could become birds, and birds that could become people. So that was fun, and that's where it started. And then I got busy. I got, growing up, getting married, going to school, all that stuff, having a family, and I kind of got off from there. And then after that, I had a little more time, so I thought, oh, that was a fun daydream. I think I'll work on that some more. And I wanted to know what was going to happen. And it was the funniest thing. It was like I would think about a character, and then the character, I would say to myself, okay, well, what would this character do? And then I'd figure that out. And then I get another character. And next thing you know, I had a whole population of characters. So and I had the story. And, I had by that time become more interested in religion and Christianity and like that. So I had a kind of a Christian spin to it. And it just was it was like a big jigsaw puzzle, just putting it together. And finally it got finished, and I did publish it once. And but as all things need to be edited and fixed. So that was sort of how it started, and it kept going. And I enjoyed doing the whole thing. It was a lot of fun.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's give the folks at home the big picture. Tell them what the storyline is about, a little bit about the book.
Well, there's a planet. Well, there's a planet, and there's two sections of the planet, and they're separated by water. And even back when on Earth there were explorers, many, like thousands of years, they didn't even know anybody else was in the planet. But when they started getting on boats and going places, they started meeting new populations, and they didn't always think the same way. So was part of why I felt that this would be very logical to have it this way in this planet, so that these explorers would, they wanted to conquer, they wanted to take more land, and they would encounter other groups of people. And so that's sort of how it got going. Unfortunately, the big problem was that the one side that was going around trying to find all these other places had a certain view about religious aspects. And if anybody disagreed with them, they didn't live. And so it made it really tricky. So some of the people in that culture wanted to escape from that very, limited amount of, they didn't have freedom of religion. So they snuck along with the ones that were just going to the other parts of the planet. And then at that point, they were hoping to maybe escape and run away or something, but they ran into these people who had a really nice way of believing, and they thought, wow, we want to be like them, you know.
Mm.
And but the problem was they knew they were with a shipload of people that wanted to wipe out that population, so they were trying to help the people. So that was
Mm.
kind of how it got going. But the one, well, I would say probably the main character besides Telleo is the creator in the book, and he's very engaged with his creation and has lots of thoughts and lots of things he wants to do, and that's what I found very interesting, to see how the creator in the book was interacting with the other people in the book, and of course, as a Christian, I thought, well, there, let's see what do I think he might been like, you know. And
Mm.
so there's some fun stories, you know. There's just fun things about how he works with the different people, um, so that they will learn what he wants them to learn and overcome things that they're having hard times, because there's real problems in the book. Some people have lost loved ones, you know. They, and it's tough, and or they are poor and things like that. So these are all little things, little side things in it that that help a person kind of follow along and watch how the creator is working with the people. And so the story progresses, and Teleo's the one that's the main one, and the creator has a special job for him, and so he trains him up, and he doesn't have any idea he's going to be getting into the weird stuff he's going to get into. And so next thing you know, he's on a trip over to another part of his area and working with people over there. And then he's going over to another section where the people came from originally. So there was a lot of different things. But what I found fun as a writer was understanding things that you hear, like in church. You go to church, and you know the sermon, and you're kind of tired and everything. So I was trying to understand some of those concepts, like the fact that God, our God, the creator in the book there, he doesn't fit in. He doesn't fit in a world. The world's got to fit in him. He's too big
Mm.
for a world. The universe is too big to fit in God. He's got to fit around it. He's got to fit around time. So things like that were some of the things that I brought out in the book, and also some of the aspects, because it gets very confusing sometimes to understand what's this thing about God having three persons. You know, it gets kind of
Mm.
confusing to people,
Yeah.
it's confusing to me too. So I was trying to illustrate that too, mainly because I just wanted to see if I could do it, you know. And
Wonderful.
it was fun, you know, I had a
Yeah.
good time.
Yeah, well,
So,
you did a great job of it. It is a remarkable story. Have you envisioned this as a movie by any chance?
well, I think it'd be a great movie. I sometimes things like this are even better as movies, you know.
Yeah.
People can kind of engage with them better when they're movies. Some people don't have time to sit and watch, read a book, that
Right.
kind of book. Now, if you have time, you got plenty of book to read.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But Hollywood does such a great job of taking a concept like this and bringing it to life. And it is such a unique world that you've created. I think people will be fascinated by seeing it on the big screen. So,
Oh,
Hollywood, if you're listening, this would
yeah,
be
listen.
a good film. Yeah, exactly,
Listen.
exactly. Themes of purity and simplicity, they're important in your story. Tell us why.
Well, mainly because we've forgotten what they are here, but
Yeah.
um, it's just being simple life is so good, you know, not having all the deadlines, not having all the distractions, you know, not having to relearn how to talk to somebody on a phone or on a computer or whatever else
Hmm.
every time you turn around. And my life spanned from not so much technology until now. It's like a lot of technology, and
Exactly.
I do like some technology, some of it's
Yeah.
great, but you know, we lost a lot of the sitting down after this dinner table just chatting. and visiting and, not having such a huge span for where we live. You would visit people, you would spend time with people. And I think that's sad that we've lost that. So that was
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to bring out, the how important relationships are, and for getting through different troubles, like if a person loses a spouse or a child or something like that. And one of the things was, it was a little town, and the town was not big, maybe 500 people, but everybody helped each other and everybody cared about each other. So that was another thing I liked about the story. So
Absolutely, absolutely. With technology, something's gained, but a lot is lost, and the human
sure.
connection is definitely one of the casualties for
Mhm.
sure. Are you working on a sequel to Telleo?
I don't think I have enough life left to write a sequel to tell you, but I thanks for asking. That was kind
Sure.
of you. I think I've done enough with Telleo. I think now I just want to rest for a while.
Exactly. Take a break, get recharged, recharge
Yeah,
those
yeah,
creative juices and the
yeah.
batteries. Well, this is a great book. Diane VJ has written a remarkable book. She has created a unique, distinct world, one you will love immersing yourself in, this world that exists between the covers of her book on the pages. It's called Telleo, Perfect One. It's a philosophical fantasy, and it invites readers to leave behind the world of deadlines and digital distractions and journey to a newly imagined planet with two distinct civilizations. It's a great read. It's truly enjoyable. And again, to Hollywood, if you're listening, this would be a great movie. Let's turn this into a screenplay. Diane, thank you so
Thank you.
much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.